What's up, everybody? Trevor Sikkema here, welcoming you into another episode of TDN's live mock draft series. We got a heavy hitter here. We have a show that has been many weeks in the making, right, Mike? I think it's been many weeks in the making because he was actually finishing up his massive draft guide, which I'm going to pimp at the beginning of the show. I'm going to pimp in the middle of the show, and we're going to pimp at the end of the show because, honestly, if you guys have not seen Pro Football Focus's draft guide, it's one of the best out there. And Mike Renner, who is our guest tonight, he is the author of that massive draft guide. Mike, appreciate you joining me, man.
No, thanks for having me back. I felt so bad, but man, it was a lot of work, but 300 player profiles, it came out fine. I don't want to think about it anymore. I got a few months now before I got to start the preseason one next year, and then I'm back in the grind. But thank God. I'm ready for the draft to get here, man. It feels like forever I've been watching these guys.
I know, and there's so much analysis that's going on over the last couple of months, which is why I'm excited about this. I wanted to get you kind of later in the cycle, not so you would be all hopped up on caffeine outside of writing the draft guide, but also because now we have a great grasp on where we think that these guys are going to go. We've got a better idea of what these team needs are going to look like, how they're going to attack best player available. And so I had to make sure that we got you at the right time. And I think this is the right time because we're going to have some fun with this mock draft. You ready to go?
Oh, yeah. I'm still hyped up on caffeine, though. Don't worry about that.
Okay, good. It was an added bonus. I was hoping that was still the case, but It wasn't the sole reason here. Okay, we got Zach Cohen on the other side of the glass producing this I almost said podcast. I've done so many podcasts at this point. I guess it kind of is. Video, podcast, live mock draft, whatever it is. Zach, if you're ready to go, then I am ready to go. We can start this thing off and we can pull up the mock draft machine. Mike said that he was game for either odds or evens, and I feel like I've picked the odds on like the last 5 shows that we have done here. So I'm going to give Mike the honor. I'm going to be the good, gracious host, and I'm going to let him kick this mock draft off at number 1 overall with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So with that, Mike, you are on the clock.
I'm not going to get too controversial here. Trevor Lawrence is the pick. He's been the pick from the rip, 3 years ago when he got to Clemson and unseated Kelly Bryant there as a true freshman. Like he's the dude. Other guys might end up being better, but you would be crazy to draft anyone other than Trevor Lawrence right now.
I think you're right. There's no reason to make it spicy. And I don't even know if the draft starts at number 2. Like, I feel like we've had a couple of draft cycles that have been like, oh, the draft, we already know who's going to be picked number 1. The draft really starts at 2. I don't even know if the draft starts at 2. I think that it's pretty solidified that Zach Wilson is going to be the number 2 overall pick to the New York Jets. This just makes the most sense. And outside of smokescreens or little like hearings here or there, I feel like the trade deals that don't get done, that we get to hear about, sometimes mean just as much as the actual news that comes out with real trades. And when it came out that the San Francisco 49ers, who called the Miami Dolphins and the Atlanta Falcons and the Cincinnati Bengals about a trade up, didn't even talk to the team whose head coach used to be their defensive coordinator. I mean, that means a lot to me, right? It makes me think that they already know Jets aren't moving and they know exactly who they want. We saw they traded Sam Darnold, so they got a lot of confidence there. So we're going Zach Wilson at number 2, and that puts you up with now the Niners, who did trade up, at number 3.
I do not buy at number 3 the Mac Jones. The Mac Jones hype, I just cannot.
I'm with you.
I can't do it. Like, I can't fathom that that's the guy. When you have Justin Fields, who was the 3rd highest rated quarterback recruit of all time, behind Trevor Lawrence, the 5-star at Georgia, who transfers to Ohio State, the most coveted transfer maybe of all time, goes to the playoffs back-to-back years, puts up absurd efficiency stats at Ohio State, makes throw after throw, like has this special blend of talent. And you're going to get Mac effing Jones because he can run an offense, because he can run your offense. I don't see it. I don't buy it whatsoever. So I'm going to go Justin Fields here.
I'm totally with you. You can sit here and say that, Mac Jones is closer in archetype to the guys that Kyle Shanahan has had success with in the past. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he hand-picked all of those guys. That simply means that he did the most with the players that were kind of that skill set. He can see the Patrick Mahomes, the Russell Wilsons, the Aaron Rodgers, the other guys in the league who are a lot better outside of structure, give you a lot more with their feet, can be mobile in what they do, and that's absolutely Justin Fields. I think that you're right. I think that's the pick at number 3. Atlanta Falcons at number 4. This is a big trade down team, and I'm thinking about it here. The team that I look at the most is the Denver Broncos at 9. And so you control the Broncos at 9. Is this something that you think the Broncos would want to do?
Yes. I think this is their shot, and the way they've built this roster and how kind of all in-ish they are with the moves they've made on the defensive side of the ball. This is as close you're going to get. You're not going to be in the top 10 next year. That's not the goal. You're going to be
I don't think
much higher than that if you're a Denver Broncos. You're not going to get the guy next year, even if Drew Lock is still the same guy he was this past year, which was not good. That's why you're in the quarterback market. So go up and get a guy. If I'm number 9, I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling you right now.
Okay, let's do it then, Zach. Let's pull up the trade portion here of the mock draft machine. We got the Broncos offering to the Falcons. So let's see. We're at least obviously swapping those. Are we thinking you got to give a next year's one? I feel like
2022 one. Yeah, it's got to be on the table for that.
All right. So offer acceptance still low. So what else you want to throw in the deal? I think what makes sense here. A 2 probably gets it done. You might be able to do a 3.
Go give me a 3 and see if that gets it done.
Does it? No, not at all. Absolutely not. No, it didn't.
If it's 2 and 3, that's all. That one's close. I'd probably lean 2-4 if I could do 2-4.
Yeah, let's see. Try to do 2-4. No, you got to keep the 2 on there. Zach. There you go.
Okay.
All right, so this is very likely. So this is for sure going to happen. We could you could also give like a 2022 4 and see if that works out.
Let's try that one instead.
Okay. All right.
As little as I can get there.
Basically, that's what the trade game is all about. Okay, so are you comfortable with this? 2 1s?
That offer.
Okay. All right, let's do it then. So then you are controlling the Denver Broncos, which means I will give you the honor of picking the quarterback that you want, seeing as how flattering you were on Mac Jones a couple minutes ago. I don't think it's going to be Mac Jones.
Yeah, I'm going Trey Lance here, and I'm moving up because Trey Lance, you can redshirt him feasibly. You know, the leap he has to make, having sat out this past year, going from FCS competition, there's a lot of knocks in his corner. The fact that he's the youngest quarterback in this class, the fact that he has some actual physical sort of mechanical issues that you would like to clean up in his release, and with how he strides in the pocket, whatnot. He can sit here. You can give Drew Lock that chance to be that guy, and then, worst thing that happens, you got 2 franchise quarterbacks. Like that could be your worst case scenario there, or one of your worst case scenarios. Worst case is still they both suck. But I'm moving up because, again, you're a team that's never been in the position to get that guy. You've always been a little too good to do it. You're in a position with a deep quarterback class to do it. I'm making that play.
I'm with you. I think that this is a strong possibility. I feel like there's more mocks than not that I've done over the last couple of weeks that have 4 straight quarterbacks going in the top 4 picks, which would be crazy. But this is the quarterback class, and I think this is the quarterback desperation that we're talking about in the rest of the league this year. 5, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. There's been a big debate of Penei Sewell versus Jamar Chase, and people who have heard me on live mocks before, they know where I'm going with this one. I'm going with Penei Sewell. That's where I'm going, because as much as I like Jamar Chase, I think that Sewell is a once in a long time. I feel like we use generational prospect way too much, and so I don't want to use that. But you just don't get the chance to pick a player like Penei Sewell often. And I know that Jamar Chase has the chemistry with Joe Burrow, but if you pick Joe Burrow overall, number 1 overall, and you think that he's going to be your franchise quarterback, you think that he could probably do well with any kind of wide receiver one. It doesn't just have to be the guy that he played with in college. I know that that's there and that's tempting, but I feel like you have a chance to get a wide receiver one on your team through the draft or free agency at least once every 3 years. That's what I think. If you're any team in the NFL, you have that chance because of those 2 things. You really rarely get a chance to pick a player like Penei Sewell. And I think that that's what it all boils down to, especially when it comes to drafting the right player. And so I'm going to go with Penei Sewell here. I think that that's the right pick.
Yeah, and that's the thing about tackle talent. You got to draft it. Doesn't hit the market.
Right.
You don't get blue chip tackles on the market. It just those guys stay one spot after their rookie contracts. They are locked up. So I agree with that reasoning there. I'm on the clock here now. Or no, we flipped that. I was odds.
Oh yeah, shoot! You were supposed to go. All right,
that's who I would have gone.
Okay, all right, that's good. So we didn't have to totally redo that part. I'll pick for the Miami Dolphins now, and then we can get back on track. I think Zach and I messed that up the last time too. We did a trade, and then we just got right to it. Miami, they moved from 12 to 6. I think with two specific players in mind that they didn't want to get beat out for, Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts. But I really think they did it for Kyle Pitts alone, and they'd be okay with Jamar Chase. And so I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts here at 6. I don't think it's a big competition between him and Mike Gesicki. I think that you're using Kyle Pitts as the main tight end, and then you also have a tight end too that you are very comfortable with using in a variety of different ways, getting multiple tight ends on the field, trying to be as mismatched as you possibly can. So just because Mike Gesicki's there doesn't mean you don't pick a guy like Kyle Pitts or play him basically everywhere on the field. So I think that they moved up thinking Kyle Pitts is in their targets, and if they get a chance to take him, that's who they're taking.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that I'd take Kyle Pitts before any of these wideouts. It just, you can find a wide receiver in the second round, you can find a wide receiver in the third round, you can't find Kyle Pitts.
That's
next year.
Yes.
2 years from now, you're not gonna find Kyle Pitts. You just won't.
100%.
So I like that pick. Now I'm sitting on the clock here. Detroit Lions at number 7. This one I gotta run in the card for Jamar Chase. Like that is the guy.
It feels
to start
obvious.
Building around. Like yes, they brought in, the staff that makes you think they're going to go defense heavy. Micah Parsons, everyone has that penciled in with Dan Campbell and whatnot. No, like Jamar Chase is a number 1 wide receiver. You feel as good about that as anyone since Amari Cooper. Probably a better prospect, honestly, overall than Amari Cooper if we just would have gotten to see him for 3 years. That's how good. That's what we're talking about here, and that's why you take that guy and you start building around him. That's what you can start a modern offense with.
I'm with you. And the big question mark when we were doing mock drafts before free agency was the wide receiver room, right? There was Quintez Cephas was the only wide receiver who was under contract. And now that free agency's gone, they lose Kenny Golladay. They bring in Bashard Perryman and Tyrell Williams, but I mean, you still need a wide receiver one at that point. You're right. Even with that being the case. So I agree with you. I think Jamar Chase is the obvious one here. Carolina Panthers are up at 8. And for a long time, we thought they were in the quarterback market. We thought that they were a team poised to move up to number 3 overall before the Niners ended up doing it. And it just seems as though they weren't in on this quarterback market outside of Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, which now we're finding out was the case with a lot of teams, I guess. But they go out and get Sam Darnold. They pick up his 5th-year option. Sam Darnold's going to be the guy. Now it's time to go get a left tackle. I'm going to pick Rashawn Slater here from Northwestern, and I think that this is the direction that not only I would go here, I think that this is the direction they're going to go in real life as well. Whoever's on the board between Rashawn Slater and Penei Sewell, I think that that's going to be the guy. They're targeting that left tackle upgrade.
Yeah, you just gotta give Sam Darnold the chance to succeed. With how much you just invested in him, you better give him the good situation so you can't keep making excuses for Sam Darnold.
Right.
Saying, maybe next year, maybe that's when. So.
I don't know, man. They drive a lot of sports conversations, so you know. Sure. Oh shoot, I actually own Atlanta here.
So you're up next too.
I mean, you could pick 4. We actually got back on track. Do you want to? You could just stick at number 9.
Take Atlanta. Take Atlanta. It was yours.
Okay. All right. Not like I don't like hearing my voice enough. Okay, Atlanta moves back from number 4 to number 9. Man, I think that they would like an offensive tackle as well. Corner is a sneaky need that we have way down on the team needs list that I think that they would use an extra corner. Their secondary does not look great. Their safety room for sure is sketchy at best. I'll go Patrick Surtain here. I don't know how many times I've been able to do that, and I think that they still need a really good corner opposite A.J. Terrell, and then, I mean, including A.J. Terrell as well. I think that the secondary room is it's depleted of talent. They need a CB. I don't want to say CB1 to like totally insult A.J. Terrell, but you need good corners. We see in the NFL all the time. Like, you can't just be the CB1 that you have, and you go, okay, we're good with the rest of them. They could be subpar guys. The NFL offenses are throwing too many good wide receivers out. It's just so we're going to go Patrick Surtain here to the Atlanta Falcons at number 9. So I guess I'll double up because now I'm going Cowboys at 10. We're sticking with corner here. We'll go with J.C. Horn. I'll go back-to-back corners. And for the Cowboys, it was whoever was going to be on the board, and it's almost pick whoever you want. We consistently put Patrick Surtain there. But I'll go J.C. Horn because he's the only guy on the board. Some Cowboys fans are going to love it. Some Cowboys fans are probably going to be disappointed. But what do you think about those 2 corner picks, Mike?
Yeah, I think that's also why the Falcons are going to be looking to move down, is they want to target defense. Defense does not make any sense at 4. Like, they need to revamp this defense completely, and it makes no sense to stay there at 4. So if you move down to 9, it makes a lot more sense then after all those blue chips or wide receivers, offensive weapons are gone. Then those cornerbacks seem like good value. So I do think cornerback for both those teams, obviously massive needs. That's where I'd probably have gone in both scenarios as well.
Markel in the chat. Markel's in the chat, and he's saying he called the JC Horn pick, and then he said figured like, Markel, do you not like it? Do you want Trayvon Diggs as the CB1? I mean, I'm trying to help you out here. I can't pick anybody else for him. I guess Jalen Phillips if you wanted the edge rusher, but I know it's just common. We're getting the corners off at Dallas, but that's the way they got to go. So sorry, pal. All right, now you are up. You get to go in the mind of Dave Gettleman here at number 11 with the New York Giants. Yeah,
that sounds scary, but I'll go. This one's tough, but I think I got to go this way because I would have loved to have had Rashawn Slater. Don't love the tackles at this point that I would be drafting Christian Darrisaw or Tevin Jenkins. That just seems high for guys like that. So let me go and get Devontae Smith. I'll take the Alabama wide receiver. I don't love the Jalen Waddle fit. He's higher on the PFF board. I don't love the fit with Daniel Jones. I just don't think he's ever going to be the guy that attacks down the field consistently that would take advantage of Jalen Waddle's strength. Devontae Smith, though, wins underneath, intermediate, easy money. That's where his ball skills are exceptional. His catch radius is massive for a guy his size.
Yeah.
That's going to help out Daniel Jones.
I'm on like two sides of the fence here, and I've heard both arguments. Like, is Dave Gettleman going to go, no, we only draft football guys, I'm not picking a 165-pound wide receiver? Or is Dave Gettleman going to go, no, we only draft football guys, this guy won the Heisman last year, we're obviously picking him? So I truly don't know which way Gettleman's going to see this. I wonder what the chat thinks. You guys let me know what you think Dave Gettleman's going to do if he has the chance to pick Devontae Smith at number 11. Okay, so Philadelphia Eagles are up at number 12.
I think the deciding factor, Devontae Smith, special teams. That's it. That's the deciding factor. He's going to watch the special teams clips. That's it.
Dude, that's all I need to see. It's wild. They had this dude just sitting out. They had this Heisman-winning wide receiver just sitting out there playing special teams all the time.
Yeah.
Alabama, man. I don't know how they convince these guys to do it, but Devontae Smith also looks like he loves football. So you're right. Perhaps Dave Gettleman's really in on that.
Yeah.
This makes it interesting for the Eagles because I think that Jalen Waddle's the right pick here. I just don't think the Eagles would ever consider Micah Parsons because they just don't draft linebacker this early. So edge rushers, I don't know. I mean, like they need wide receiver though, guys. I almost think that Rashad Bateman would be a better fit than Jalen Waddle for the Eagles at 12. No, I can't do it. People are going to hate me. I got to go with Jalen Waddle. I know you picked the same kind of like archetype of wide receiver with Jalen Reagor, but you've got to go after the better wide receiver talent. You just plain need better offensive pass catching options. And I think that Jalen Waddle is clearly the best one who is still left. So look, if you're a coach and you're complaining about having too much speed, you shouldn't be the coach anyway. So I guess you got to figure it out.
So I was going to say, everyone always says, the same archetype, like you said, they are the speed, dynamic, downfield threats. They can work underneath to a degree. That's not going to be their game, catch radius, that sort of thing. We've never seen a team actually try to deploy, though, multiple guys like that. I mean, old school Raiders, but they weren't the same in terms of like when Al Davis was throwing out all those 4-3 guys. They weren't quite like Jalen Reagor and Jalen Waddle in terms of how dynamic those guys were.
No, I'm
Darius Hayward-Bay doesn't move like those guys move. He's fast in a straight line, but not dynamic and not agile like those guys are. So we've never really seen a team throw out a couple of guys like that and challenge opposing defenses. Is basically just say, what are you gonna how are you gonna defend this much speed? You don't have two corners that can match up with this.
I'm with you. That is a kind of a matchup nightmare if you deploy it the right way. You're right.
Yeah. All right, I'm at 13. The Los Angeles Chargers here. I would have been interested in the wide receiver class with those top three. I would have been interested in Rashawn Slater if he fell.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't love
You can move back if you think there's somebody that might want to move up.
I don't love going Micah Parsons. Who I'm going to go here, and this is a little off the beaten path, but it's because you have a guy in Derwin James already that is this Swiss Army knife to your defense. I'm going to add Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to this defense, into Brendan Staley's defense, to give him two chess pieces, basically give him a flexibility, this defensive guru, so to speak. He's going to be able to match up with those two guys with pretty much anything offenses throw his way, because now you have two quote-unquote hybrid players who can play between the tackles, can play deep, can play the slot, whatever you want. He has two guys at his disposal to kind of replicate a little bit maybe if what Clemson was doing with those three safeties back a couple years ago when they had Isaiah Simmons. So I think that would be a guy I just love to see him in that defense. Maybe not a realistic fit, but I would just love to see it.
Listen, Mike, I have you on for the picks that are off the beaten path. That's why I invite you on the show, because I know that you'll do it, because I know you know these guys really well. There's also a little bit of a Notre Dame connection there with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I see you. Minnesota Vikings at number 14. Elijah Vera Tucker is consistently the pick here, but I'm going to switch it up, and I'm actually going to go with Jalen Phillips. That's right, Rick Spielman. I'm picking a defensive lineman in the first round for your team, and there's nothing you could do about it. They need a good edge rusher. I know that they're not known for picking edges. Last defensive lineman they picked in the first round was Sharif Floyd in 2013, but let's give somebody on the other side of Danielle Hunter. They clearly wanted that to happen with Yannick Ngakoue, and it just didn't work out. So go get Jalen Phillips. He's the best pass rusher in this class. If you're confident with your background checks on him, this dude can do everything that you want on the defensive line. He can rush from a 2-point to 3-point stance. He's big enough to hold up against the run. He's a 3-down lineman. He's awesome. I'd love this combo here for Minnesota, even though they're probably not going to do it.
I don't know. Daniil had him convinced for a minute, but they've whiffed on a number of guys since then. So maybe this is the year they sort of realize that, hey, the vast majority of edge talent comes off the board pretty early. So I can get on board with that. 15, though, here is where Mac Jones stops. This is the slide ends at the New England Patriots. I think they made the moves that they did this offseason with all those free agent signings with the express plan of taking advantage of this quarterback class in some way, shape, or form, because there's so much talent. Because if you have a cheap quarterback, you can go and sign all those free agents and not come back to bite you in a couple of years. You can still keep those guys under the cap. So I'm going to pick Mac Jones, the Alabama quarterback. The obvious-ish fit for them, but this is where I'd start to feel comfortable taking a quarterback like that.
Yeah, Mac Jones, Cam Newton, very similar quarterbacks. He gets to sit back behind Cam, learn the ropes. I mean, I hear you. I think that as we get into the middle of the first round, end of the first round, that's probably a much more comfortable spot for Mac Jones. I feel like the best landing spot for him is either in New England, just because it's in New England if you don't think they're going to be long-term committed to Cam. And it could also be in Washington, because we know that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be on to another team next year as he completes his journey to try to play for all 32 franchises in the NFL before he retires. So I don't know. Mac Jones can go in a variety of different spots, but New England certainly on the table. Arizona Cardinals at 16. I'd love to pick J.C. Horn, but he's not here. I'm not going to pick a running back because that just has not been their MO. They've added so many other players that I don't think that they're going to draft an offensive, or I don't think that they're going to draft a running back because they need to upgrade the offensive line. If you're going to go all in, I think that you've really got to make sure that the talent along the offensive line is as good as it needs to be. I don't often see this one because I feel like this player doesn't make it here too often, but I'm going to go with Elijah Vera Tucker. He gives you a lot of different versatility. I think that he's just a really good offensive lineman. You talk about guys who could play guard or tackle, play left guard or right guard. We talk about that transition either side all the time. And I think that it really takes a natural offensive lineman to be able to do that. And I think Vera Tucker over the last 2 seasons of play has showed us that he's just a really natural offensive lineman. He knows the position well. He's a good athlete for it. And so I think that that's probably the biggest upgrade they can make is along their offensive line. So I'll go Elijah Vera Tucker at 16.
Yeah, I think interior line makes sense for them. But they have kind of a number of sneaky needs. I think the Arizona Cardinals, I think they have to be praying that those top 2 corners don't come off the board as early as they do. They do.
They would love I think they have 5 draft picks in this draft, and I still wouldn't be surprised to see them get aggressive and just be like, no, we're getting one of the top corners, and they potentially trade down for him.
Yeah, the back surgery for Caleb Farley really kind of screwed.
That definitely hurt him
that high. So, all right, I got the Raiders now. I got to get inside Gruden and Mayock.
This is another one. This is psychological warfare here.
And you got 2 very competing, Ledyard Say and Tevin Jenkins. I'm between Tevin Jenkins and Micah Parsons because you got the sort of mentality guys, tone setters, if you will. But actual value at tone setters, surprisingly, I feel like I want to reach for a tone setter if I'm going to be drafting for the Raiders. Like I feel like I have to be going even like deeper. But I think the one is Tevin Jenkins, because I feel like they pigeonhole themselves, the Raiders, into a position, and that's where they're going to go, and they're going to draft that guy at that position. And that's tackle for them after what happened this offseason. Tevin Jenkins is that road grader,
right?
The people mover, like I said, the tone setter along that offensive line. And he gets to learn alongside a all-time tone setter in Richie Incognito. So there you have it. You got Tevin Jenkins at pick 17.
This is true. I love Tevin Jenkins for him. I think the Gruden's also going to love him. I just wonder, my co-host at Locked On NFL Draft, Ben Solak, brought this up. He's like, did they dismantle their offensive line just to draft offensive line? And I don't know.
That would be very Raiders of them. It would be.
That was, that's also very true. So yeah, I guess that's
in need.
Yeah. Okay. So Miami Dolphins at number 18. I feel like so many Dolphins fans want me to wait. Hold on. Before we get to 18, who was the guy at 17 that you said the tone setter that you would like go for here?
Oh, I was going down the board to like Kwity Paye, but
okay.
It's just defense side of the ball. They also have needs there, but I think this one's better.
I thought that you were, and I agree with you. I thought you were maybe going to throw Landon Dickerson's name in there, and I was like, if Gruden got rid of Rodney Hudson just to draft Landon Dickerson, I would laugh, because objectively, I love Landon Dickerson. He's like a top 10 player in this class for me, but that would be just the most Gruden thing ever. Get rid of a good center just to draft a good center. 18, Miami Dolphins. Could be Najee Harris here. Can I see wide receiver? I think Rashad Bateman's still there. I think Rashad Bateman would be a good pick for them, but they did just get
Pitts, yeah.
Oh yeah, so I did go Pitts, so never mind. I'm not going to go Rashad Bateman. There's no reason to do that. Parsons could be a great Brian Flores kind of a guy.
I love the scheme fit with Parsons to Miami.
I'm gonna do that now that I'm looking at it. I think that Parsons is the right kind of pick. He can play inside and outside linebacker for you. He can do a lot of different things. And if there's any coach that I trust in this league, I mean, there's more than just him. But Brian Flores is up there with a guy who, when you bring in a player who's got a lot of versatility to him, you don't want to get caught in that mystery area of like, okay, like he's kind of this position and also kind of this position, but not really great at either. I think Brian Flores can get the most out of Parsons wherever you're going to play him. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. And honestly, at 19 here, I'm a little sad because that's where I was looking to go with that pick.
You do hate to see it.
You do hate to see it. But I think I'm going to go Christian Darrisaw here. Got the knee at left tackle. You're throwing out Cornelius Lucas at left tackle. Now he's not awful, but Christian Darrisaw is the guy of the future. You kind of were out on the quarterback class at this point. So good player at a value position. Go ahead.
Let me see offensive tackle, Zach, if you don't mind. For the Chicago Bears now at number 20. I'm not in on them taking a wide receiver. I'm not. I think that
shopping Anthony Miller now.
I mean, if they get rid of Anthony Miller, that's one thing, I suppose. But I think the main reason a lot of people look at wide receiver is they go, okay, look past this season. They don't have a lot of guys who you could project to 2022. And I agree, but if Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy fail this year, they're gone anyway. So why would they be drafting for 2022? I know it's like, oh, you need to like have faith like in the process. Like, I don't know if I can have faith in the process if I'm them. They just need to win. So I think it's got to be offensive lineman. I'm actually going to go with Liam Eichenberg here because I have a lot of faith in him being able to come in and start right away and not be overwhelmed by NFL speeds. I think that he's really technical. He's always seems to be in control. He's never panicking. And I think that that's really important with a Bears line that you need an upgrade right now. So there's a lot of other more athletic offensive tackles that are in this class and even on the board right now. But I think Eichenberg gives me the most peace of mind that I could play him in week 1 in this rookie season and get something out of him.
Yeah, that definitely seems though like a desperate. That's a pure Bears desperation.
I mean, it could be, but they have to pick offensive line if you ask me.
All right, Indianapolis Colts on the clock here. One edge guys off the board. They obviously big time in need of edge. I'm gonna go with Jason Owe here, the Penn State edge defender.
I think this is the highest I've seen Owe.
Athleticism. The two things basically, the Chris Ballard what does he draft? He drafts long athletes. Who has that combination better than anyone else in this draft class? I mean, it's Jason Elway. 34.5-inch arms, the best pro day I've ever seen. So,
I mean, it was nuts. How much weight do you put in to the no sacks thing? What do you think about that?
Not a ton. I mean, I feel like you watch the tape and he's not completely bereft of pass rushing moves. It's not
great word, bereft. Great word.
Even I thought Kwity Paye's junior tape was worse than Oweh's. Like Kwity was legitimately didn't have moves before this past year. Like was kind of just charging the quarterback, and that's not Oweh. He's more just still coming around to how and when to deploy him. He just kind of is very raw in that aspect is why. But it is concerning. I mean, you got to throw him out there this year, and I don't think you're going to get great results. But I do think some of the things he has just in terms of like the movement skills against a lot of the offenses you're going to be facing where you're the read man as a defensive end. You're playing in space a lot. A lot of times just that athleticism in and of itself will play.
Right.
Just from being unblocked and being able to make plays like that.
No, that makes sense. I'm probably not as harsh on the 0 sacks as I thought I was going to be, just because, especially we watch the NFL all the time, bet on these guys who have these high athletic ceilings, and you just know that Oweh is going to be an end of the first round pick. So it's just a matter of where he's going to go. You got to find a landing spot for him. Tennessee Titans are up at number 22. Oh man, they need corner so bad, but they also need receiver. I love the idea of getting Bateman to the Titans. I know some people in the chat have already said this because it's a common one. I consistently mock this one, but if you give me 2019 Bateman with what we saw from A.J. Brown this past season and what he's growing into be, that's fantastic 1-2. And that'll make up for part of the losses that you're having moving on from Corey Davis, not having Adam Humphries, not having Jonnu Smith. I mean, you need a wide receiver here almost as bad as you need corner. So I'm going to go with wide receiver because Bateman's the good one to get.
Love that pick. I do think they're in a great spot to add a number 2 wide receiver with where they're going to be on the board. Like I think they'll get the 4th wide receiver in this class. I don't see what is that picks when did the last one come off? Like 12, 13?
12 was it? Eagles? Yeah, Eagles. With Waddle.
I just would be hard pressed to see a receiver coming off the board between then. Not a lot of teams in there that are really in that market. So getting number 4 in this class would be excellent at pick 22. I think it's going to be Bateman's 4th on our board too. So he's a great player. Jets now, 23. I'm going to go. I would love to get I actually would have loved to get Bateman to pair with Zach Wilson, even though you got a couple guys there, but a guy you can grow with, that sort of thing. But I'm going to go cornerback here. I'm going to go Greg Newsome.
Nice.
Massive, massive need, obviously, in our eyes, a valuable position. Scheme versatile dude. I mean, we always talk about like who fits in the cover 3. Well, a guy who's versatile and can play man and zone will fit in the cover 3 also. So I think Greg Newsome, he's got the goods to go this high.
I'm taking the risk, Steelers fans. I'm doing it. Look, your team has left me no choice. You have no corners, and I'm picking Caleb Farley. I've got to. Okay. I've got to do it. You know, good. Like I understand you've got the back injury concerns. He's had the back-to-back back surgeries, which is never good. That you've got those 2 back surgeries on your resume, and you haven't even played it down in the NFL yet. But moving on from Nelson as an outside corner, you lost Hilton to free agency. Joe Hayden ain't getting any younger. They got Justin Lane, but I mean, even if you're counting on Justin Lane, you still need another really top-tier outside corner. And so I think that they got to take the risk, and maybe you could even get something out of Farley here in year 1 because clearly they are coming back with Ben Roethlisberger. They're trying to make sure that they can compete, and I don't think they can compete right now with that secondary. I really don't. So you throw Farley in there, maybe you can make something happen. I know running back could be on the board here for them as well, but I'm going to go with Caleb Farley. I'm going to have them taking the chance there.
I like that pick because I think Farley's got to go to you can't just go to a team that's going to have to rely on him for 3 or 4 years. Like if that back injury is serious, if that flares up, you got to go to a team where it's a high variance pick. The Steelers need a guy right now who can impact the team. Like if that back is then fine, year 1, you're getting a guy who should have gone 10 to 14 picks higher than that.
Right,
so
right.
I think they got to make a play like that if they really, because this is their window. It's this year. After this year, it is all up in the air after that. So, all right, 25. I got the Jaguars. Already got Trevor Lawrence.
Good
got
start. That's a good start.
Yeah, I was like A+ there. We're hot. Got to keep it hot now. Needs on the roster, safety obviously.
Yeah.
Qualifies as one. They could use another wide receiver, not necessarily at this point in time. I'm not sure if Elijah Moore, who is where I would go at the wide receiver position, not sure how he would necessarily fit. You kind of have that slot guy in Laviska Shenault, although I'd love to try Laviska Shenault a little bit more on the outside. I'm debating here. I'm debating between, I think, Elijah Moore and the top safety on PFF's board, Trayvon Moehrig, because I think he's well worth a pick like this. I'm going to go with Moehrig. I think safety, he feels safe. He feels like a safe safety. He has gotten a ton of plays on the football over the last 2 years. Only a true junior coming out. A plus athlete for the position in a number of different ways. Like, has a very clean profile for the safety position. You're just getting a really versatile, good safety.
I think Merrick's really good, man. I really like him, and I know the regime and the coaching staff is completely different, but the Jags, I believe, played more cover one single high than any team in the NFL last year. Or if it's not number one, they're in the top 5. And so that's something that they wanted to do, and they tried to make that happen with safeties that they couldn't do it with. I think Merrick gives you the ability to do that. So even if they wanted to maybe not be as aggressive, but still wanted to have that in their defensive wheelhouse, I think that's a really good pick there.
And also their DC's name, eluding me right now, came over from the Ravens. They deploy safeties at will in that defense, throwing them as blitzers and whatnot. That's what he can do.
Yeah, no doubt. So even with the couple of safeties that they added in free agency, this should certainly be on their radar. 26, Cleveland Browns. I love the idea of getting Jason Owe on the other side of Myles Garrett, but obviously Jason Owe is he is not here. So we do have Ojulari, though, and I think that's where I'm going to go. I think that it's got to be edge rusher one way or the other. It's just kind of which player you want more, which one is your cup of tea between Kwity Paye and Azeez Ojulari. But I'm going to go Ojulari because I think that he gives you a better speed profile, and he holds up, I feel like, better than people are giving him credit for. Some just say that he's a speed rusher because of the body type, but, man, he's strong, I feel, and so he's not going to be as much of a liability on the early downs as some people believe. I think he's a smart run defender as well. So I'm going to go Azeez Ojulari to play opposite Myles Garrett for the Browns.
I like the complementary sort of rushing styles too. You got Myles Garrett push the pocket. He cleaned him up on the back. So, but now you left me no choice though at here pick 27. I'd love to add a weapon for Lamar Jackson, but I am not going to pass up Kwity Paye with how well the Baltimore Ravens have developed edge rushers to give me the guy with these out of this world edge rushing tools to develop. I'm gonna go get that guy. In Kwity Paye. I mean, he looked like cartoon character at his pro day. That guy's jacked as I can remember a prospect being.
He looked like a real life version of the Fox like cartoon drawings, right? That was the Fox broadcast that they did. Yeah. They just did this like everybody's on steroids, right?
It's gonna be the drawing, and then just Kwity Paye, like an actual picture, and you're gonna be like, holy fuck.
Oh, man, I can't wait for somebody to meme that one. Okay, 28, New Orleans Saints. This is a tough team to draft for because I have no idea what the hell the Saints are ever thinking. This is so dangerous getting in the mind of Sean Payton because I think he's a crazy genius, but the word crazy also comes before genius, so I don't know exactly where they're going to go. Elijah Moore, I think, really makes sense in this offense to play on the other side of Mike Thomas, because I would love just the ability to continue to give easy targets to whether it's Jameis or Taysom Hill or whatever they're going to do at quarterback. I know they'd like a field stretcher. Maybe that complements what Jameis wants to do a little bit better, and they probably don't have to take this year. But I'm going to go with Terrace Marshall Jr. I'll go with Terrace Marshall because I feel like he can give you that slot production that you might want. He can give you that in-and-out versatility. Same thing that Mike Thomas does, but I feel like Terrace Marshall Jr. can give you a little bit more when it comes to downfield speed and attacking deep portions of the field. So we're going to go with Terrace Marshall, the wide receiver from LSU, here to the New Orleans Saints.
I dig it. Yeah, I think keeping him hometown guy, obviously, or like LSU guy.
Right.
Big, going to be a fan favorite right off the rip.
Yes.
I got the Packers now. And I am torn here because
you're a noted Packers follower, a staunch advocate of the Packers.
The Rodgers jersey right there. Now, I would love to go wide receiver, but they're just not. They're just going to break my heart. And I've already accepted that they will not draft a wide receiver in the first round. So I think I'm going to go. Now they do love defensive tackles, and Christian Barmore still on the board. They always draft, they draft defensive line, offensive line highly a lot. But I think after what happened in the NFC Championship game,
yes,
I think they got to go somewhere in the secondary. And I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb here, but I'm going to go Asante Samuel Jr.
Nice.
Cornerback.
Let's go.
Because of where they're going defensively. They're going to that zone-heavy scheme. They're going away from press coverage, off coverage, soft coverage where guys with instincts thrive, guys who can make plays on the ball thrive. That's Asante Samuel Jr. That Darius Williams was 5'8", playing outside cornerback last year in that Ram scheme, making play after play. That could be Asante Samuel Jr. in that Green Bay Packers defense.
I like Asante a lot, man. I think that people just look at the size and they just go like, oh, he's a smaller corner. He's going to be a nickel convert. No, man. I mean, watch his tape, man. He played outside. He played great when he kept his eyes on the quarterback. He even really knows what he's doing in man coverage, too. I know you probably don't want him there a ton because he's going to get bullied a little bit, but he knows what he's doing. I feel like he's a great all-around corner.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, for that scheme, not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I think for that scheme, across from Jair Alexander, it's an upgrade from Kevin King, at least. Right.
Okay, so Buffalo Bills, speaking of another team that's looking to add somebody to help them in a playoff run, we're going to go with Eric Stokes here, the corner from Georgia. I think that they need a CB2 opposite Trey White, and I think that this is the direction that they got to go. I feel like they're in a similar spot with Green Bay where it's like, oh, man, they could go a couple of different directions. I mean, they could go running back, maybe edge rusher if they fall, but corner, to me, I think still stands the biggest need depending on how the board fell. And with the board like this, I'm going to go with Eric Stokes.
Oof, that one's interesting, man. And they do, because you can't throw Teron Johnson out on Tyreek Hill in the playoffs.
It just can't happen. Right.
You can't.
Right.
Another team that has to have learned their lesson, basically, from what happened to them at the end of last year. I will go for the Kansas City Chiefs now. And they've pigeonholed themselves in the tackle, but they picked the right class to do it in, because I think there's some guys on the board right now, or there will be some guys on the board that could step in and pass protect right away. I'm going to go with Sam Cosmi, the Texas offensive tackle, because he's about the most battle-tested tackle in this draft class in terms of pass protection.
Sure.
Freak athlete, just plug-and-play sort of guy. Maybe I don't think he's going to be near the tackles we saw last year, some of the top guys, but I think you can at least count on him to be better than Luke Niang. So I am going to go Sam Cosmi at 31.
I feel like a lot of Bucs fans watch this stream just to see who I'm going to pick for Tampa at the end, because
I know who I'd pick here for Tampa.
What do you pick for a team that has everything? Okay, so I'd love to hear who you would pick for Tampa Bay.
I'm going Landon Dickerson here.
Oh,
5-position versatility.
Woo!
He's played all 5 positions at some point, whether Florida State, Alabama. He'll fall down a board because of the ACL, but you don't need him to play right away. You have 5 guys who are going to play right away. But how many teams make it through the whole season with 5 starters fully healthy? None. Someone's going to get hurt. And Landon Dickerson, no matter if it's left tackle, right guard, left guard, center, Landon Dickerson's stepping in there and is going to be able to play for you. And it'll likely be down the stretch. It's going to be in the playoffs. It's going to be in the Super Bowl. So that's where I'd go. I would go Landon Dickerson.
I'm not going to go Landon Dickerson, although I absolutely love that. That just gets the biggest smile on my face. I'm also not going to go running back or Christian Barmore, because I feel like I've done that a million times. Give me Rondale Moore. Let the rich stay rich. Rich get richer, whatever you want to call it.
He's your pass catching running back. There you got it.
And look, if they don't bring back Antonio Brown, which it feels like they might not, because it feels like he's going to price himself out of Tampa Bay. I guess it just all depends. Yeah, they have Scotty Miller, but we learned last year, Scotty Miller is not just this Julian Edelman kind of clone. He's much more of a downfield threat, deep speed kind of a player. So if you get Rondale Moore, you have a big time underneath guy that you can get the ball to Brady's hand quick. You can get it into his hands. And he's also multiple times, like you just said, caught passes out of the backfield. You could play him in the backfield and he's plenty comfortable. He knows what he's doing back there. And so I've made this pick once before, and I continue to convince myself that this would be the most fun unless somebody really, really falls to you that might be best player available. I'm going Rondale Moore at 32.
I am not hating that. That would be fun, just to see him and how he would be used.
I mean, you could also, people in the chat are saying Elijah Moore. So, I mean, like, I guess that could be another option if you want more of a pure slot receiver. But Rondale's like this true X factor for you. Like, he's this true, like, offensive weapon. So that's what I'm all about. Okay, let's recap this draft a little bit. Trevor Lawrence, number 1 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Zach Wilson, number 2 to the Jets. Fields, number 3 to the 49ers. I'm not buying the Mac Jones hype. Neither was Mike, thank goodness. Denver Broncos traded up, go get Trey Lance. Penei Sewell to the Cincinnati Bengals at 5. Kyle Pitts, 6 to the Dolphins. Jamar Chase, 7 to the Lions. Rashawn Slater, 8 to the Carolina Panthers since they don't need a quarterback anymore. Back-to-back corners with the Falcons and Cowboys is Surtain and J.C. Horn. Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle went back-to-back in the NFC East to the Eagles and the Giants. Owusu-Koramoah went to the Chargers. That was a very interesting pick. I liked hearing about that one. That was a little different. Vikings, I gave him an edge rusher, even though I don't know, probably won't happen just because Rick Spielman never does that. Mac Jones ended up going to the New England Patriots at 15 to be a Cam Newton clone. I'm just kidding, everybody. Calm down. Elijah Vera Tucker going to the Arizona Cardinals. Tevin Jenkins to the Las Vegas Raiders. Dolphins went Micah Parsons at 18. Washington football team got their left tackle with Christian Darrisaw. Liam Eichenberg went to the Chicago Bears, a team that desperately needs guys to start right away. Jason Oweh, I really like this. This is probably the highest that I've seen Jason Oweh go. Chris Ballard takes a chance on a really athletic pass rusher there. Tennessee Titans, Rashad Bateman. New York Jets, Greg Newsome. Caleb Farley to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They took the swing there with the talented Farley. Merrick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ojulari to the Browns. Pay to the Ravens. Marshall Jr. to the Saints. Asante Samuel Jr. to the Packers, which I was very happy that Mike actually picked for the Packers because sometimes I feel like I have no idea where the Packers are going to go. So this is fantastic that I got that little insight there from him. Eric Stokes as CB2 to the Buffalo Bills. Sam Cosme to the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. And then Rondale Moore to spice it up, have a little bit of fun with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 32. Mike, that was a blast, man. I really appreciate that.
There was only a few picks where I was like, I don't love. Looking back, the Jaguars just didn't feel like they had a great guy that I loved to fit for them, though. That was the one pick I was just like, I don't know. The Morig, the Merrick, I don't know.
Now, yeah, I agree. At number 1, you're thinking, like, who do you want to go with? Do you want to go with, like, Penei Sewell or Kyle Pitts at number 1? No, I'm just kidding. I'm trolling you because you were talking about number 25. Yeah. Jaguars are kind of interesting at 25. Because
then they have a ton more picks then after that is the other thing. It's like they
right.
go a lot of different ways.
So you just never know. Folks, yeah. I'm telling you, if you have not downloaded Mike Renner's draft guide over at Pro Football Focus, you're missing out. It is one of the most comprehensive, unique draft guides out there. And that's what's really important because a lot of people put out some incredible draft guides that I'm going to pimp throughout this month because it's some incredible work that people out there are putting in. But PFF, as you know, they do a lot of very unique, they do a lot of unique things with how they cover the game and the information that they have. So they're not just telling you about why a player is good or bad. They're giving you graded analytical examples of why they think a player is where they are. So Mike couldn't join us last week because he was going to bed at 4 a.m. trying to finish this bad boy up. So you know that it's worth it. He's put in the hours for it. Go download it over at Pro Football Focus. Be a subscriber over there. Become a smarter football fan. Mike, thank you so much for joining me, man.
No, thank you for having me, Trey. It was fun, man.
All right, everybody. You know the drill. Sunday night, that's the next time that we're doing a live mock draft series. I can give you a little hint. It's going to be another dueling mock draft. I'm going to go head-to-head with the same team against somebody to try to get the best draft haul. We'll see you guys on Sunday.